Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Tell me, you're from Uruguay originally?
Yeah,
So do you know the Bernfeld family?
what's the name?
Bernfeld. Miguel Bernfeld.
Yeah, I know Miguel Bernfeld.
You should know.
They're from Montreal. They
Right,
came from,
right,
they went to Montreal.
right.
What's the
And
last name?
Bernfeld.
Bernfeld. One son they called him Gordo,
That's
and another one was
my
Erwin, I
buddy.
think. Gordo is your buddy?
That's right. You're right.
Where is
Yeah,
he now?
we went to
Toronto?
yeshiva together. He's in
He's in
Toronto.
Toronto? Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, send regards from Johnny Zatter when you see him,
I
when you
will.
talk
I
to him.
will. I talk to him
Then
often. Yeah.
then he had his brother was Irving, I think.
Irwin. Irwin.
Erwin, right. He's also in
Hi.
Toronto, Erwin?
No, he's in Montreal.
He's still in Montreal. Uh-huh.
Yep. Yeah.
Very nice.
And Dov Freeberg, you know, too, probably.
Dov
You're
is my
relative.
cousin. Dov
Your
is my
cousin.
cousin. Mhm. I have quite a bit of family in Toronto.
Who's that?
My brother, number one. Then you have Dov, and then you have sister Nancy, not Nancy, Doris Bistritzer,
Right.
and then their kids and
Your kids and grandkids, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Used to have uncles also, but they're no longer around.
Hello.
What was his name? Benno?
Beno, Beno and Perez Friedberg. Beno Zatter and Perez Friedberg.
And in Paris, yeah. We used to have them together in the U-Mount, in the shul, when I was a
Right,
kid growing up.
right. You davened there also?
Yeah, I lived on
Right.
that street.
I used to go there when I was in Toronto. I also davened there.
Yeah.
Rabbi Ox.
Rabbi Ox Jr. now,
No, it's the son, right?
son.
I knew Rabbi Ox from Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was the one that had that weird beard, right? That folded.
Right.
yeah, that folded.
Yeah. I knew him. Is he
You
still
know
alive?
him. He's
Is he
still
still
around.
alive?
He still is, yeah.
He's still alive. Well, he was older when I knew him 30 years ago. Okay. Nun Amud Aleph.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. The Gemara said that the woman really doesn't want to sell the field in three cases. We talked about the one that was the piece of land that was set aside for a ksuba, and to exclude what? What are we excluding? Other assets that he has. So So that's certainly going to be a case that if the wife, what did we say as smart? We said nachas ruach hasita l'bayli. I went along with it because I wanted to make my husband happy. Well, here, if she doesn't agree to the sale of any of her documents, is also going to cause him to be unhappy. Or maybe you're not allowing me to sell these fields because you're always worried that I'm going to die or divorce you. And maybe is that why that kind of mekach is batul? Ella lemute nichse meluk. So when a woman gets married, her father gives her fields that belong to her. She brings them in. They belong to her. The husband gets to eat payros of those fields. But if the husband dies, the wife keeps those fields. She owns the goof of the karka. Now, the benefit for the husband, if she dies, he inherits those. Now, there we would say, if a woman agrees to the sale is not batal, So Homer Ameimar, it's not so. Ish v'isha shemachru b'nichsei melug lo asav lo klum. Either the man or the woman that sell, it's not a good sale. Why? Ki itmar ameimar heichad izovin iu nami asi iu mavke. That is, he sold it and died, and she's allowed to take it from the person he sold it to because she had a pre-existing lien. Or inami zavni, or for example, she sold it umesa, so really the husband inherits her. The Chachamim passed the takana that if she went ahead and sold it, the husband can take it away from that person. Rav Yossi bar Chanina, Tom Rav Yossi bar Chanina, be'usha iskinu. They made a special takana in Usha where the Sanhedrin had moved. After the Churban, a woman who sold her property that she brought into the marriage and then she died. So from the moment of their marriage, the Baal already has a pre-existing lien. So if she sold it to a purchaser, the husband's allowed to get it away from the person who purchased. So that's individually. But if together they agreed to sell to a third party, that would work. Or for example, the wife sells it to him. In those cases, zvina zvini, the sale would stand. That somebody who doesn't have both the goof of the karka and the payros, he can't sell. But our chachamim don't hold like Rabbi Lazar. Where do we see this machloikas? Titania. Hamoicher savda. Person has an Eved Knani, and he sold him. Uposak imo, the one who sold, made an arrangement with the one who bought him. Sheyash meshena shloishim yom, that even though they sold August 1, the original owner is going to use them for 30 days. And then the guy who sold him struck the Eved, and the Eved died. So Rameir Oimer, a Rishon, the seller, Yeshno Bedin Yomo Yomai. The Torah said that if you struck an Eved, he doesn't die right away, he lives for 1 or 2 days. So the master is not put to death, because it's clear that the death wasn't really caused directly by the blow. And why is the one who sold him considered his master? He's working with him still. Now the Shani, the one who bought him, who didn't take possession of the Eved yet, does not get the Einu B'din Yom Yomayim. It's a regular case when you murder somebody, and if he dies, we don't care whether the guy lived for a day or two or not, he's going to be Chayv Misa. Since the Eved is not working for the guy who purchased him, because they made a deal that he stays for the first 30 days with the original owner, the second guy is treated as a murderer no matter what. Why? Who has the right to use the Eved? It's the seller. Even though the buyer is paid for it, it's Kinyan up having the rights to the use of fruit, to the use of the item, is as if you own it. While Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, no. Hasheni, the one who bought the Eved, he's considered the owner. So he has Yeshno Bedin Yom Yomayim. B'nei Shehu Kaspo, he's his financial asset. He paid for him, even though he didn't take possession of him yet. And the Rishon, if the owner who's working the guy for the first 30 days strikes and the guy dies, even if he dies a long time later, he's going to be Chayv Misa. Eino B'din Yom Yomayim, because Eino Kaspo. Even though he's using him, it's not considered his asset. Why does Rabbi Yehuda have that Svar Ksavar? Kinyan peiros lavki kinyan aguf dami. Just because you have the right to use something is not considered that you own it. Rab Yosi Oimer, third opinion. Shneim yeshna b'din yom yomayim. Both of them have the patur of Yom Yomayim. Yom Yomayim is a leniency that if the guy doesn't die after the first or second day, if the guy's alive for 1 and 2 days, you will not be killed as a murderer. Zebet Neshu Tachto. One of them is because he's working with him. Zebet Neshu Kaspo. Why? Rabbi Yossi is Mesafkale. He's in doubt on this issue. E Kenyan Pers Kenyan Aguf Dami Ola. Or Ilavki Kenyan Aguf Dami. And therefore, since this is a case of Suffolk Nefashos, right, this guy might be killed, capital punishment, we always treat those cases lahakil. Since it's a Suffolk, we go lakula. Rabbi Lazar Amar Shneim Eina B'din Yom Yomayim. Rabbi Lazar says neither of them have full ownership, because to have full ownership, Rabbi Lazar is going to say, you need both Kinyan Aguf and Kinyan Peiros. Zelafi Shena Takta Zelafi Shena Kaspa. Amar Rava, my time, Rabbi Lazar. Amar Kra, Lo Yukam, Ki Kaspohu. Kaspam Yuchad Lo. It's got to be his financial asset that's only going to work for him. Somebody else has some kind of schus in him, then he's not considered his. Okay. Then the Mishnah said, Lo li'ish chazaka b'nichsei ishta. A husband cannot establish chazaka in the assets of his wife. That if a husband is in the field of his wife, she better protest. Now, Biman, who has to protest? Are we talking about a strangers in the field? You can't establish chazaka in the assets of a married woman, because while she's a married woman, her husband is going to deal with all of the financial assets. Elalav, the Baal. We're talking about the husband is trying to establish ownership by squatting in the field, which seems to imply that a husband can establish chazaka b'nitzei ishto if she doesn't protest, which seems to go against our Mishnah. Amar Rava, yes, la'olam b'Baal. We are talking about the Baal. However, it's a specific chazaka. Kagon shechafer ba boirois shichin ma'aretz. He's digging irrigation ditches, wells, not just eating fruits from the field. Not only did he eat fruits, he made physical changes in the field, in the goof of the karka itself. That's clearly evidence that it's his. And therefore, if she didn't protest, he can establish chazaka. Now, the problem is, these things in some way are damaging the field. And you can't establish chazaka if you damage somebody's field, even if he's been there for a long time. He's a mazik, and therefore should not be able to establish chazaka through these acts. So, Ema, we answer, Ein din chazaka l'nizakin. Yes, if you cause damage, you don't have to even wait 3 years. If he didn't protest in 1 minute, there's a chazaka right away. So it's the opposite. It means if somebody goes into your field and damages it, and you were silent, that's clear evidence that it belongs to you and not to the other guy. So that's why if the wife didn't protest, if he went into the field and dug irrigation ditches, he's coined it right away. Others say, Lav itmer Allah. Didn't we learn on this when we talked about Ein Chazak L'Nizakin, that Rav Meri Omar, Bekutra, we're talking about smoke damage. That doesn't cause Chazaka. Or Rav Zvid Omar Bebeis HaKisei, he built a toilet there which has bad smell. But so there, the guy's going to protest right away. But by digging wells, there is Chazaka. So there, a woman would have to protest. And if not, he would establish chazak in the field. Rav Yosef Omer La'olam that when Rav said that a wife has to protest, this is ba'achir, it's not talking about the husband, it's talking about a third party comes and tries to squat on her land. Kigon sha'achla miktsas chazaka b'chaya abal. 1.5 years the husband was alive. And for 3 years after the husband died. Now the woman better protest, because if not, there will be a good chazaka. Why? Migudi boy omerla. Because this guy who's squatting could have said, Anaz vintiminech. Listen, I bought it from you after your husband died. And now I'm here for 3 years and you didn't protest. So therefore, ki omer lo nami adz vintalei. So now if he could potentially say, listen, you sold it to me, or you sold it to the husband, and v'zavna nialin, and he sold it to me, then he's believed. Man, that means if he's going to lie already, he could tell a better lie. And since he did it, we believe him. Okay. We'll deal with the gufa tomorrow. So tomorrow is Friday.